back to TIA Talks. My name is Jason, your host. And today, just because we're in South Africa and hopefully it's not a trademark infringement of any kind, today's episode is going to be a diary of a CEO, because I've got a CEO with me of one of the largest brokerages in the country, Aon South Africa. Nolwandle, welcome.
Thank you.
And then I've also got somebody who we all kind of saw in the first episode of TIA on in episode 2. Sorry,
two episodes.
Two episodes.
Right. 3 maybe if you want.
Okay, well, Donovan, welcome. Welcome. He made the top 10 of the Insurance Apprentice, and we have him and his judge here from the last episode that you would have seen last week, Thursday. And wow, guys, that episode was, firstly, I don't know how to say it, like fire. It was very harsh. It was a tough episode to watch, because firstly there were a couple of embarrassing moments that I mean I'm a fay with. I've had plenty of embarrassing moments on TIA where I had a brain fart and all sorts of things when I entered. So Donovan, welcome to the club. Donovan, I think I'm actually going to start with you because you were the first elimination of the show. And before I actually begin, I wanted to just commend you, because the top 10 is an achievement in itself.
Thank you.
And I think not many people can say they've made it to the top 10 of the Insurance Apprentice. And I don't want anyone to almost belittle the fact that you were the first one out of TIA when actually you beat 190 other people to get to that place. So well done, Donovan. I think what you did, one episode is not also enough time to see who the real Donovan is. I remember when I was on, the first few tasks, you kind of get the hang of it. You kind of find your feet. You start to learn how to present. I never presented to anybody before TIA. So you got a little bit of time, one task. Tell me how it went. How did you find TIA?
Well, just to reflect back on what you said about making the top 10, I think what's important to note is the reflection afterwards. You go back and you think, okay, so based out of, let's call it 200 plus applicants, you made it to the top 10 under 35, and you're picked for the future generational leaders within the industry. So I did a lot of reflection afterwards, especially when I got voted out on the day itself. I mean, you can ask Annette afterwards as well. I was like, can I come and watch the last episode? Where a lot of people would go back and say, but why would you want to watch the next episode if you're already voted out? I said, because I take from it, I learn from it, and how I apply myself afterwards. And just sitting back, it was the best experience that I could ever imagine, for being in that realm of people and with the CEO as well. And you learn from them and about how you conduct yourself and in the way that you make your presence felt, whether it's good or bad, and then you take that as a learning curve. Like in my instance, I think the whole of South Africa knows I can dance now. But
you're taking my fire here. I was literally gonna mention it. Yeah, tell us about the waltz that Simon called it.
I can waltz. I got good ankles, so I think taking that into stride after everything was shown and done, I was kind of sitting back, and I had to do a presentation at work to our exco. And literally, as I stepped in, I'm like, don't dance, don't waltz. So,
how did it go?
No, fantastic, because it changed my entire perception about how you present and how you show up and how you speak. And I could easily feel why it was a distraction. And for me, it's about the change afterwards. Yes, you made a mistake, but can that mistake be rectified? Yes.
And it's a real life thing that you've done. I mean, you've literally taken a learning from TIA, the competition, and applied it in your job.
100%. And it becomes such a normal thing from now because of the position that I'm in. I work a lot with strategic partnerships. So for me, I need to present a lot. So I think it was probably the best thing that could have happened in this instance, because it's let's call it a blind spot, for lack of a better word. And through that blind spot, I could identify this is how you elevate your career a bit more. Yeah. That's how I take it. What I take from it, what happened.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think the self-reflection moment after the competition is so important. And I think the learning that's taken from anything in life is important. And I like the way that you've taken that and you've kind of seen how you can improve, and you've immediately implemented.
100%.
I think wisdom comes from having the knowledge and then implementing it and actually taking action. And I think that was wise of you to do that, because you'll see the progression in your career now, you know. And I think as someone who was already kicked out in the show, you can still see that change in your career. And I think that was cool.
100%. I mean, we all have a lot of, this is a big word, a nice word, scotomas that we can look out for.
Oh, yes, I know what it means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. I know we're just chatting about big words offline. So, but definitely, I think the career transition that I've made after this, I mean, I've got our group CEO sending me a WhatsApp text. Saying, well done. You handled yourself very well. So I'm like, shit. Damn, okay, that was quite cool. Thank you for that. Thank you for seeing that it's not just about where I messed up, but the way that I can conduct myself during that phase and afterwards.
Yeah.
Sorry, not to take away.
No, that's you. Please, this is all about you guys. And Donovan, I think you really gave hope to a lot of guys in your position, because I think you also don't come across as the nerdy, brainy one that sits behind a desk to work and do his thing. You seem like a guy that's out there and wants to present and speak to people and, you know, all of those things. I think even on my side, when I did that, that was one of my strengths, if I can say, but I realized there were flaws in it. And I had to kind of work on my strengths. So that's also another thing. It's not just a weakness that we identify, but it's just maybe something we can work on in our strengths.
Yeah,
so I love that.
It's about fine-tuning.
Yeah, fine-tuning. Exactly.
100%.
Yeah. Nolwandle.
Yes.
Welcome to TIA Talks.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Diary of a CEO South Africa. The guests just get bigger and better every single time. Nolwandle, I must say, I've been nervous before in these interviews. You know, I've interviewed previous CEOs and I've told them I'm nervous. This one's a bit different for me because you were a judge when I was in TIA, and I must say you are intimidating as anything, and I don't know why. To me, I can't. And please don't take this the wrong way. I think you must be one of the sweetest people in the world. But when I stood in front of you, that calm kind of, I don't know what, it's something.
It is the
it's
calm
something.
demeanor. 100%.
Okay? There's something where you could say something. It's the weight of what you say. And yeah, sorry. So for whoever doesn't know Nolwandle, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Jason. It's good to be here. I'm Nolwandle Mgoqi. Look after Aon South Africa, mother of 2 boys, 11 and 15. Those are my pride and joy. Those are the 2 people who probably humble me. Sure. It's interesting, you know. When I watched the episode with them 2 weeks ago. And so I always look at them to gauge, you know, is it hot or cold, hot, warm? It was interesting to get the feedback also from them.
Because they're brutally honest.
They are honest, and that's what you get. I mean, 11-year-old tells you, oh, you could have smiled here. Yeah. A 15-year-old says, you could have been more nicer. Then you're trying to explain, they're like, yeah, we get it, but you could have still. You know.
Don't listen to them. You're perfect.
No,
don't listen to them.
Point. I like what Donovan actually, you know, the greatest in us is not defined by what we deem as success. It's at reflection moments. You know, as we're talking about your reflection, because when you reflect, you own your part. And there's very few people who are actually able to do that with grace as well as with objectivity and owning their part to say, it was a lesson. There's a lesson learned. There's a takeaway for me. And I think you did that. There's a part on the show where you are sitting somewhere, and you had your hands like this. Yes, you're emotional, and you're human because you have to respond. But you also took what was the exit, or someone could have looked at as a fall in a positive way.
Thank you.
And I think as you reflect on that, you emphasize the lessons learned. And that's something important about that, all of us, because you always have to reflect my takeaway in everything. First, I go through the human part that says, why me? Natural. And the second part, then you actually say, if not me, who else? And then I always try to get to the third point. What is it that I should take away from this?
100%.
And we don't always get there easy. And I don't want to create a false sense of it's comfortable. But you are human enough. And that's when you are self-aware. And I think that's what you've just actually demonstrated.
Thank you.
A reflection is a moment when you are self-aware.
And that, I mean, it's as much as one can grow. You've reached the pinnacle of your career, maybe even a bit higher. You can grow a bit more as well. But the growth from that I can take For me, it's just about growth. Okay, I missed this moment, but this doesn't mean it's the end. There's so many other opportunities that can go into it.
And to reflect on it every day.
Yeah.
You know, and I know you talk about CEO. I'm a professional, you know, like all of you sitting here. I'm an employee. I still have to compete. And the moment, I always say, the moment I feel like I've arrived, that's when my learning will ever stop.
I love that.
And
I
it's
like that.
important for me every day. What can I do differently? And learning through others. You know, it's you don't know everything.
Yeah.
So I think I like the reflection part because I go through those 3 stages.
Yeah. I think you mentioned that learning through others. That's quite key. I think we tend to try and put the weight of learning all on us and trying to experience it all and trying to research it all. But often it's a question that we can ask a colleague or a friend, and we learn something out of that. You know?
And data points. I was having a conversation earlier with a colleague. I said, I work on data points. I'm analytical, so I'll look at actually all the data points before I arrive at a conclusion.
Factual, 100%.
And sometimes I have to work with 20% of the data. And
try and make a decision.
And make a decision around that. But that's, you know, that's the right way to do it.
Would you say that you have pillars of people that you engage with where you take these learnings from and you sometimes just listen? Would you have that in your career? Even being, the CEO of Aon, do you have those people that you can point out?
That's a good question.
I do. I'm fortunate. You know, you have your immediate supervisors who you can learn from, you know, because they also have stakeholders to manage. I learn from my colleagues, my EXCO members. You know, there's a former CEO, I won't mention his name, and he knows who he is. Yeah. And
shout out.
And shout out to you, because he taught me one of the basic lessons. I always wondered, how do you actually sit through a meeting and not actually address that one? That one was actually rude. And why do you let everyone talk as if you can't make a decision? He says, you know what, Nolwandle, I've made it my practice to make each and every person feel they've got inputs and contribution to me. Make each and every person feel valued. It doesn't take away the fact that I have to make the decision.
Yeah.
And I said, even if they're disrespectful, he said, it's them. I still have to make the decision.
Do you see how I positioned that question strategically so to give context to all the others?
And I've learned from that. I've learned to listen. I've learned also to actually accept that each and every one of us has got something to say.
Yeah.
I can learn from the lady, the security guy who greets me every morning. I can learn from the lady who sweeps our floors. I can learn from my EA. Yeah. You know, you need to give people an opportunity because you can, and that's what I said, Jason. I know for me, the moment I reach a point in life where I feel I've done it all, I've learned it all, that's when my learning will stop.
Yeah.
And I'm scared of reaching that point. So I'm always open to actually learning something, even if it means learning at an event, how people put things together. And I drive my marketing people crazy because then I'll go and says, oh, did you see that? I really like that. It's having a mind that is actually open to absorb, like I did sitting through The Apprentice.
Yeah.
You know, it's hearing people's perspectives.
I mean, one would think that you've already gone through all of this, but hearing different perspectives of others can change it. So I have a tagline that I kind of been living by for the last, let's call it, better half of 8 years. People say that knowledge is power, but I perceive it more of the application of knowledge and how you utilize that knowledge is what's important. That's where it's going to go. So what you just said now, I once again resonate with it a lot because looking back at it, I mean, and I also ask the question specifically for that reason, because you often look at your CEO, he makes all the decisions, but we often forget that they're also human. They also need to make certain people felt and heard, and that input where he's a professional within that specific space in the company is so vital to where the rest of the company and the people are going.
Yeah, that's good. I think you mentioned something, Nolwandle, just in terms of letting everyone have a voice. really, letting them be heard and then making your decision based on that, and not really giving over the reins. And it's so wise that I've never thought about listening being a tool to actually keep the power, and I think that that's so great. So I'm definitely going to write that down. But what it also, what's striking in terms of what you've said is that all this self-reflection tends to keep you humble. And that is a bit of a trend I've seen in a lot of ultra successful people, where they really are humble people. And no wonder that really does come through just in your demeanor and the way that you are. It's commendable. If it's something that I could say myself, so if I do say so myself. I'm not humble though. So anyway,
we'll tell you are.
Thank you. I'm the humblest person in the world. No, anyway. So I wanted to actually touch on the task itself. So Donovan, you guys failed dismally at it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm just going to say. So let me be real. Let's maybe break it down a little bit. Nolwandle, I think maybe give us what you expected and what the task should have been, because it was around SMEs and giving solutions to the SMEs in the insurance space. So maybe give us some background on the thinking behind the task and what you expected. And then maybe Donovan, you could respond with, why did you guys go down that route?
It's all a big blur at this point. So
okay, fine. Let's
but
go for
I'll
it.
wait for whatever. Look, I'll just give her input on it and how I viewed it. And I mean, I said to you offline about how one sees it afterwards.
Yeah. So
let's wait for that.
Let's go for it.
Okay, Jason, I'm going to go against you.
Yeah.
First, let me acknowledge and congratulate the teams. Fantastic job, well done, on really getting the data and the insights. Because there was a lot of work, a lot of running around. I mean, I stopped by in few of the rooms. There was a concerted effort to gather data and some empirical evidence around the SMMEs. So I think sometimes life, as I often say, is not defined only in what we call winning. You have to celebrate. It's not about
small
precision.
victories.
You have to celebrate the milestones. So I think a job well done in terms of their dedication and hard work in trying to get to the solution.
Yeah, because they've only got 2 hours anyway.
Albeit, to your point, it may have come across that they failed. What was quite evident for me with the exercise, and I'll go, why SMMEs? SMMEs are what holds this economy.
It's weird. It's actually the irony in the name. Small, medium enterprise is actually the biggest thing.
It accounts, as we said, accounts for over 60% of our labor force.
Sure. Oh, it's crazy.
And it contributes significantly overall to GDP. It sustains our economy. And we saw that in 2021. The irony of that, it's a part of the segment that is important to us in our industry, in insurance. And when you talk about small, a lot of people talk, the tiny. Those mom and pops shops are what actually creates a lot of employment.
Yeah. As brokers, we would know.
And you will know as
our
brokers.
clients, the SMEs,
yes,
most of them.
And those are the people that have sustained our industry. So one, the importance of that sector. The second part, the need for us as a collective industry to participate and drive the sustainability of that industry. Because they start from being small into actually being medium large. Yeah. So and the unfortunate part is we're seeing a trend where before they're actually big enough to be mid-large, they disappear. Yeah. And they fail because we don't have infrastructure. Not infrastructure as we talk about, we don't have resources to support them.
Yeah.
And educate them.
And I think Sasria, thank you to Sasria for sponsoring. Interestingly, Sasria will know best what that actually meant for them in 2021 unrest. And how many of those small, medium enterprise companies were destroyed and lives were lost, livelihoods were lost. Yeah. People who were able to support their families were no longer able to because people felt they could not actually rebuild. Sure. And there were very few people who could rebuild. So if you're looking at that as a sector that drives our economy, it is important that as an insurance industry, also we find ways to define what sustainability means. It also talks around the simplicity of our products. A lot of those guys don't have time, for 5 hours or for 50-page documents to read through. They want simplicity.
And also the insurance jargon aspect.
Yes,
of
they
it.
don't. They want to know, I've got my store, I've got 3 employees.
Am I covered? Yes or no?
Am I covered against loss in the event of XYZ? What do I need to do? How much will be my excess? Can I reduce my premium because I'm running a seasonal business?
Yeah.
And we're not having those discussions to say, how do we ensure that it becomes sustainable? How do we also ensure from a price, price sensitive? I mean, we
Definitely.
then at high inflation, globally as well, probably South Africans can say, we're most accustomed to, surviving in this high inflation. But the prices have increased as well, which have meant that you can't sustain the business.
Well, you fleshed out this quite a lot.
Because
you've given a lot of this I didn't hear in that task brief.
That's what I was saying to you earlier.
But it was in the document.
It was. I'm sure it was.
Document. It
Of
was
course.
all in the detail.
Yeah.
And it's interesting for me in that you've got 2 hours and maybe the opportunity, what I didn't see the team, they went straight into data gathering to an extent, duplicating what was already availed. Remember what I said? Work with 20% or 30% of what you have and ask more questions to build up your conclusions.
And that's the same advice you give every season, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure I got that advice too.
You see the humility coming through, isn't it?
It's that good.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
Give a sense, I've been giving X, Y, Z. What is missing for me? What do I need to know? I didn't hear a lot of that.
I think reflecting back once again, I mean, listening to what you're saying now, and like I said in the beginning, when you look at the episode, it's briefed into like 10 words, and then it simplifies it. And looking back at it, we try to overcomplicate and oversell and try and explain something that is not even the actual need for it. I mean, I'm looking back at our episode. Yes, professional indemnity forms a part of it, but not SME. It's such a small aspect of it. Where are my basics? Where are my fire cover, my theft cover? That's what I want. And we sit back and we think, okay, I need to wow them. Then just simplify it. Give me this. What is the solution, as it was saying, and as the saying goes. So I think what's important to take from that, just based on what you've been saying, is it's such a big need, and we're not educating our consumers to the point where it's understandable to them.
And on that note, Donovan, I think I will give you my solution to your task.
Please do.
Straight after the coffee break. Would you guys like some coffee?
Sponsored by?
Sponsored by Sapiens.
Thank you, Sapiens.
Okay, we'll
Cool.
just give it a few secs. The insurance industry is changing fast. The way we work, the risks we face, and clients' expectations are evolving every single day. That's where Sapiens comes in. They're building cutting-edge technology that helps insurers stay ahead, streamlining processes, reducing inefficiencies, and making the entire experience smarter. If you're in the industry, this is the tech you need to know about. Learn more at sapiens.com. I want to test myself.
Okay.
I'd like to see if I could get a little bit close to what you would expect for the answer for the task. But I'm not going to give you a full in-depth answer.
Okay.
I just thought as a broker, I thought there was quite a basic answer to this.
What industry? Just what industry?
You could give me any industry. It could be retail, it could be construction. But when I saw it for the first time, and immediately I thought needs analysis. Let's put together a client proposal and show the world, because it's now on SABC3. So that's also something that I wanted to think about. Let's educate everyone on how to put together an insurance package for an SME. And by the way, the education that comes from that is how I explain each of those terms to the client at the end of the day, or to the consumer at the end of the day. So Nolwandle, that being said, can I make it to the next round of the Insurance Apprentice?
We'll have to review, Jason. You've simplified it too much.
Yes, okay.
In Apprentice, we're looking for more than just that,
Of course.
that one line.
Of course. Yeah, I think tongue in cheek. I know that there's so much to go into the presentation and the work behind it. We only see the surface level stuff.
Yeah.
And I say that it could have been much simpler, but I've had a few days to really think about it, to mull over it, and to get to this very simple answer, you know. And Donovan, I wanted to actually find out from you the process of managing your team and actually getting to this answer is something that interested me, because in the episode, you were the leader of your team. And generally we see the guys that are the leaders, they've got kind of a target on their back.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They also get spoken about all the time in the group, like, yeah, he's not leading us. Whereas that can be, in my opinion, a little bit misinterpreted. It's not always bad leadership. Sometimes we just have unwilling followers. But in your instance, just coming to the solution, bringing the team together, what would you say the ups and downs of the task was from a teamwork and collaborative point of view? And then maybe from the solution, we'll get into it a bit later.
Well, too many cooks in the kitchen. I think personally that's kind of where it went wrong. Everybody wanted to give their solution, and their solution is the best, where it should have been a collaborative effort. Everybody identified a key strength of where they stand out and from a knowledge expert, and I think that should have been applied, where this person had this solution, and then we try to melt all the different solutions into one package solution. So that's why we looked all over the place, because that's how it was in the back end. But nothing taken away from all the guys and the contestants that we were with. They were great. They all had their valuable inputs.
They all have strong personalities.
But that's the thing. And sometimes looking at how it's depicted on TV and actual live television and what happened in the back end, you find yourself thinking, could we have handled that situation differently? But I think that also elevates you to work under stress better. And just going back into this, you need to identify, this person is good in this task. Let's delegate a bit better. This person is good in this task. Let's delegate a bit better. And then you come together and you paste it all into a conjointed solution. We didn't have that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I mean, and for example, when Anele started stumbling, that wasn't on her account. She was speaking about how she felt about it. But we gave PI cover to an individual that's not necessarily the professional in professional indemnity. So
you set your guys, or not you, but the team set each other up to fail.
we didn't plan. I think we were so rushed to get a solution on the table instead of just simplifying it and looking back and seeing what the brief is and following what the brief is. So I would say identify key strengths. When whomever finds himself in that position again, identify your key strengths and what is it that you specialize in, and we give you that part of the task. And you come back with your part of what we need to input in our presentation.
Yeah, and I think it's also easier to lead a team later on in the competition. The first time you guys get put together, you kind of learning everyone's personalities and characteristics and what their strengths and weaknesses are. But as you progress, you already kind of know that, so you can lead them better. You know, so it is a little unfair that you got to get out, and
it's kind of weird. I mean, we were hanging. I was in the same team with three of the same individuals in all three of the rounds that end.
Well, you shouldn't have said that, Donovan. You should have done better than leading them. Eh? Oh my word!
But can I say something? I mean, I think by virtue, the apprentice tests your grit, and your knowledge and ambition.
Correct, 100%.
And what was required, and I'm glad you're actually acknowledging that, it does test your individual, knowledge as well as your ambition. But actually, what we don't realize is that what distinguishes a true apprentice is someone who can work within the collective.
100%.
And it takes a lot of maturity to actually say, I don't have to shine as an individual, but collectively we're bigger than.
I couldn't echo that.
A missed opportunity for me is, as you said, Donovan, the ability to leverage each other's strengths and acknowledging, and align each other's contributions. I mean, I think you just reminded me of, the PI issue, if I could hide myself under the table, I will have, And what is important in those situations is really presenting a united front.
Of course, 100%.
And we all learn. They say you go far as an individual, but you go further as part of a group.
As a collective, I
But
like that.
going into apprentice, I think people need to understand that it's about collaboration.
Yeah.
And I think for you, Donovan, it's interesting you said that you had worked with other people there, the three, you had been part of a team. And what a missed opportunity at that time to leverage of that, to say, I know these other three and I can direct them in this way and focus on the others that you're actually not as familiar with.
No, definitely.
Because I think that could have actually, it's a lesson we all learn in leadership. You're always presented, you don't work with people. In most of the cases, you arrive and you have to work with other people.
You also work with, like you said, I mean, you don't work with people, you work with opportunities.
Yeah. And you also, I mean, physically, you join teams that are already existent.
Yeah.
You need to give yourself grace to understand who is who.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you need them to win. Once you understand them individually, play to their strengths and not their weakness. And where there's weakness, you help unify the group. And I think it was very evident for me that as a leader, as you came in, that was an opportunity to frame each team member's contribution, to set them up for a right pitch so that when they step in,
The best possible version of themselves.
exactly, so when they step in, they just follow that script.
Yeah.
You know, with nerves, you know, being overwhelmed and over-researched topic and no solution. You know, one person took a cue. And I think it was it Annele who took longer?
Oh, and she didn't give John the opportunity.
Yes.
Yes, it was Anele, yeah.
And after Annele, someone could have picked it up to say, how do we consolidate this so that we actually, our story is there?
Yeah.
So it gave an impression that actually there was no unified or integrated solution here. They all showed up as individuals.
Yeah.
You know,
Not as a
opposed
united
to,
front.
Yes, not actually as a collective.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we're all tested in that to say, give everyone an opportunity. They all go east, west, north, south.
Yeah.
But what is the true north?
I
And as
wonder,
a leader, you actually elevate the discussion to the true north.
But like to what you were saying now, it's definitely a learning point because, I mean, I might just add, I was never appointed by myself. I never said I want to be leader. So those that identified certain aspects of me that put me in that position and are taking from the missed opportunities, like you said, and that was part of the reflection is when Kaya started stumbling, for example, I could have stepped in and I should have stepped in to take hold of this and kind of steer us into another direction. And that to me is definitely something that I'm taking forward to say, okay, you know what, if somebody else within your team fails, pick them up, but also use it as a guiding term because that if that person really is interested and wants to, they'll pick up on it. Okay, so this is something I didn't know. So it's a learning opportunity from you as a leader, but you're also learning about how you can do better. So it creates like a triangle effect. I like that expression.
Yeah.
And you're making people feel safe. There's no point beating up someone who's already in a spiral.
Yeah, 100%.
As a leader, you're supposed to actually step in, try and at least rescue them while they compose themselves.
yeah.
After that, you can come back to say, this is what you could have done here.
Yeah. I think there's like, I haven't seen it yet, but on TIA, the leader that does that, I would love to just watch that episode. That they don't present well, they don't manage the work well, you know, they just manage the person well. I would love to see how that person gets through. You know, if there is, I haven't seen somebody that actually leads with the people in mind and only the people, and leads with the getting the strengths from those people and saying, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Because I've never, it's actually a very interesting thing, and hopefully maybe season, what are we on, 11, 12 next season, maybe somebody can step up into a leadership role and actually start to collaborate and pull out the strengths of people and not even worry about the task at hand, but actually get those things. I think that could be quite
So
cool.
I'm going to put that bucket back into your corner quickly. What does leadership look like to you? Because based on that, because I agree with you, and maybe this is for the future of season 12, for a learning point for them. They can, okay, I might not be the best in this or this or that, but I'm a great leader in my own full right. What would that look like to you?
To me. Welcome to TIA Talks. I'm your host, Jason, and I ask all the questions here. So
I love it.
So I get you. No, I do. I think leadership to me, honestly is about achieving a desired outcome, and this is purely definition, but achieving a desired outcome, or managing. I want to find the words. I want to achieve the desired outcome, but I want to use the people and work with the people that can help me do it the best way possible and the quickest way and usually most efficient way. So in my opinion, I do lead people in my organization. I have a team and I've been a leader in different areas of my life. And often I find that Ubuntu, the whole, and I do this, is the reason why I'm here today. It's purely those people that I taught them how to do some of their jobs. I empowered them to do something, and then I let them do it on their own. So I kind of trusted them with it. And from that point, they then did the job, and I could then kind of focus on the next thing. And as I did that, I could see the strengths and the people come out, or the strengths of the people come out in each of those individuals. And we were kind of taking step by step, just getting to the outcome. And for me, it's not about that outcome. It's actually really about how to do it and doing it with the people in mind. Because for me, people are important. And I do find that without them, I would be nowhere. And that's one thing that I did wrong on TIA in my season, is I disagreed with my team. And that got me kicked out. And that turned me into a way better leader now. Just being in my business and actually listening to the people out there and their opinions, because I realized I am wrong sometimes.
Would you echo some of the sentiments?
I think it's interesting as I'm reflecting as well to say, one of the things that are very important is really recognizing the individual excellence becomes even much more exceptional when there's a team synergy. I often use the phrase that just trust me that at any given point, all of us have had some A's and B's. And when you come into the room, please understand that others have also had A's, B's, Dean's List, adversity, all of these things. You're not the only one. But what is required? So you tick that box. What is required is, what can I learn from Jason that can take us forward?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of humility and actually owning your space to say, I'm good at this. I've had my A's and B's in life. But now I can achieve A+ working with Jason.
Yeah.
And really then your focus becomes around, how do I build a team synergy? You're going to have to whoop some people. You're going to have to actually
encourage some people.
Other people are just going to get it immediately.
Yeah. They're the ones you want, usually.
and you can't choose that I'm going to just go with the ones that actually get it immediately.
Yeah.
You have to work. So I think I like this insurance apprentice because, it also triggers a lot, because it helps you understand some of the day-to-day principles of leadership. Yeah. You don't lead from the top of the mountain. You lead through people, with people, and around people. And you have to acknowledge at some point that my own individual excellence is not actually enough to get us far. How do I actually combine this with the team synergy?
I love that.
And that perspectives help you. Remember, your starting point is, I've had my A's and B's. I'm not trying to get a Dean's List.
That's so true.
I've learned so much more than all 3 episodes. Thank you. No, that was wonderful. I mean, echoing those sentiments and just hearing it from somebody that's actually in the hot seat on a day-to-day basis, because I don't think people necessarily understand what it is that you go through always. And as a CEO, I mean, your day-to-day, they think you're just sitting there and pinpointing, you're doing this, you do that. But the people around you is what gets you to that point, and that assists you. It makes me think of the movie 300.
You would think of 300. Biceps. This is the second episode of this season, and we got big biceps on the show, and I'm still working on mine. So
you're looking great.
But speaking on that, we touched on your leadership style and just leadership in general. But there was a characteristic that I think is a little bit underplayed, really, in your case, Donovan. I think it comes down to your discipline, and you're a disciplined individual. And we talk about the biceps and those type of things, but I've known many guys that are ripped and like great bods, buff arms, whatever the case is, they are super disciplined because they've had to do a lot of work mentally. I want to ask you just on discipline. Is it also difficult to kind of move away from that perception of people having on you specifically, being this big dude who's a leader? Because the guys were intimidated by you in the show too, you know, but you led in a specific way that kind of didn't really speak to that too much.
Yeah.
I don't know if you...
Yeah, thanks, man. So for probably close to a decade, that's been the perception of I lead with force, which, excuse the pun, but yeah, maybe to a certain extent in the beginning of my career, close to 2 decades ago, sure. But as I grew older and as I learned a lot more about myself, I did the work. I became emotionally intelligent, and that's why I echoed so much on it. I read a lot. I went to go do a lot of studies. I put myself into a position that what you see will be echoed on the outside, but in a manner of, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm backing it with self growth. And that to me is such an important thing. And I think it shows up in the way that I speak as well, in the way that I talk. And that's why people sometimes find it intimidating. But looking back from an educational standpoint, you need to go and do the work.
Yeah.
And you need to showcase it through your actions, not just by, you're just this big force that no, that's not what it is. If I'm talking about something, I need to be able to back it as well. And I need to be able to do it with confidence. And I've done the work. And I think that's such an important thing. And I can learn so much from her just based on the way that she's speaking now. And the emotional intelligence is echoing throughout this room just by the way that she conducts herself. And that's why I resonated so much with her now, because it's something that I'm trying to take a lot of pride in, and how I show up for my people, how I show up at work, and the discipline of being there. If it's 5 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, but that discipline that you instill is something that I would want to take forward. So it's a perception, but I think systematically it's starting to move away from that perception purely based on the way that I continuously show up.
Yeah.
And that's that discipline that started in the beginning of your career. But remember, as like anything in life, New York, South Africa, all these places weren't the same in 1920 at the way that they are now. We constantly need to elevate. Because if you're not going to elevate, you're going to stagnate. And the moment that you stagnate, you stand still.
I think that's one thing I would take away, is continuously showing up. I think that was great, Donovan. And thank you very much for joining me today. I think it's going to be interesting watching the rest of the season. Do you have anything you would like to say to any of the contestants or to the viewers at home, just to close out? Last words from Donovan.
Not the current contestants, they're going through the most right now. So, no, the future contestants, I think, if anything, and if you want to elevate your career, there's no better place to do this.
Awesome.
You can come, put your entries in for season 12, and I can guarantee your life will be changed, whether you're out in the top 200 or whether you're out in the top 3. There's no two ways about it. You learn from people, industry, professionals at the highest level on so many points, and then just the people around you. So, 100%.
Awesome. Nolwandle. I'd like to ask you just one last closing question before we finish and wrap this up. But you have inspired me, and you always did, even when you were the judge of my season.
And intimidated.
And intimidated me. I think a bit of both. You know, I think it shows that you demand respect, even just walking into a room. So I think that's awesome. But I wanted to ask, on the softer side, we tend to try and make an impact as TIA, and just as TIA talks. We have an email address now called impact@theinsuranceapprentice.co.za. So we try and get people that are listening to actually email us and give us their ideas on how they can make a difference in this space that we're in. So Nolwandle, if there is anything that you would want to change, or if you've got an initiative that you're busy with and you want people to get involved and to know about it, is there something on your heart that you'd like to share with somebody? It's a difficult one, I know.
It is a difficult one. I think I'm quite passionate about passing it on. We need to create more opportunities like Apprentice that give people opportunities that they won't have on a day-to-day. As professionals, but also as people. I mean, listening to some of the stories on the show really humbled me, people's backgrounds, and it gives hope that wherever we come from doesn't define who we become. We can achieve more. And I think if anything, really my wish for me is to be more involved in those type of initiatives. And it actually resonates with my ethos that I am because we are. I wouldn't be where I am today had it not been for other people.
There we go. I don't even want to say anything. I just want to put a full stop onto that and say thank you very much for being here. And yeah, all the best, Donovan, in your career.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll see a lot more of you. And Nolwandle, don't be scarce. I'm sure if I need a job, we'll be speaking.
Just one last thing.
Yes.
Because Donovan actually opened with something very powerful, reflection. To the contestants now, please don't only reflect on what your contribution has been. Think about how you've enabled someone else to thrive, irrespective of the outcome. Because when you move the focus on self, you actually open up opportunities for.
Echo that.
That's it, guys. You need to cut that right there. Okay. I don't want to know anything more. You got that, eh? Just before he says, I echo that, because it was so good. Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys. We are done.